Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe back, and I'm going to do my weekly reading update for January 27th, 2019. 2019. Okay. Anyway, so this month is going by really fast. Work has been super busy, and I've been trying to do a lot of reading, but I feel like my numbers look good, but I feel like I'm not getting through as many things as I'm hoping to. It seems every week. And again, I had another DNF this week. So this month I have DNF'd 3 books. It's not been a good reading month that way. I've had a lot of good books that I've really enjoyed as well. So there's it's not really a balance, but it kind of says, okay, well, this book's good, then the next one won't be, kind of thing has been recently, which I've really detested actually. So, I know, I'm just hoping February is not going to be like this. Let's just get through the end of January. Let me just talk about the stuff that I finished, stuff I DNF'd, and then what I'm currently in the middle of, and then what I think I'm going to read this week. We'll see. It's been, as I said, this next week is going to be super busy for me at work. One of my coworkers is off, so I have to cover longer hours for him. You know, I don't have to, but it just makes it much more easier if I'm there a little earlier and a little later just to catch everything. So, I have to do this week, and then not next week, but the week after, I'll have to do the same thing. I might even have to do it next week too, because he'll be there, but he won't be available because we're having a shutdown. They're doing a lot of repairs where I work, and and then the next week he's out of town again. So I think it's going to be 3 weeks of horrible long hours for me. Again, I am one of those people who would like to do my 40 hours and run. I average probably about 4 hours of overtime a week normally, sometimes higher, sometimes lower. And I know that this next week is going to be closer to the 10 mark for overtime, and I just don't like that. I like to come home and read. So anyway, that was a really long intro. Anyway, so I did finish I think on Sunday, The Bullet Journal Method by Ryder Carroll. Again, this is all talking about his method, the bullet journal method, and it was it's going to be a really great reference book for if I ever really go into bullet journaling. I think it's really good about just talking about how to get yourself organized. I might use this more for project stuff, like when I'm trying to get myself organized, because I have a tendency to plan a lot of things, but maybe sometimes I need a little bit more structure. And I'm thinking mostly for my writing, and then some stuff around the house kind of thing. Not really my work. Again, I have my own methods at work that I've already established, but this is a good way to at least get checklists and figure out what I'm doing. Anyway, I really like this overall. I think it's really, really well written. If you want to learn about the bullet journal method, or want to return to it, or want a refresher or a reference, I think this is a really great book, and I do recommend it. I thought it was really well done. And as I said, I watched many videos years ago when I was getting into journal or traveling notebooks and in the planner community. And this was, of course, huge. A lot of them do it all the time. And so, but I thought the book was really good with examples and what you can do with the system on your, because again, you can make it work for you. So, and again, I'm using the collections part of it for my book journal, which I've been wanting to do forever, and I'm doing it this year. So we'll see how that goes. But, so I don't need everything in that, but it was a good read. So, I also finished on audio, Chernobyl, The History of a Nuclear Catastrophe by, I forgot to look up his name, Serhiy Blankny? So this was the more history book that I was kind of looking for Chernobyl. That's play-by-play of what actually happened. I love Chernobyl Prayers, I've said before, by Slavomir Ilekovic, and the reason I love that is because it was people's individual voices of what they experienced during everything. And this was much more the history side of it, the whole, this happened and then this happened and this is why it happened and then this is the consequences of this. So this was definitely a good history. Now, again, as I said, I have another one coming from the library in February that I'm just not sure I'm ready to read another one. But the audiobook for this was really good. It was by Ralph Lister. And he was a great It was great. It was easy listening for me for that. But overall, I really liked this. And again, it was really interesting because, again, it's all those Russian names, so it takes a while to get into it to figure out who's who sometimes for me. Because, again, I'm just not used to all those names. But overall, it was a really good history book, and I would recommend it if you're looking for something more on the play-by-play and the aftermath. And again, the part of it, of his thing, was saying Ukraine's independence from, or bringing down the Soviet Union had a lot to do with what happened at Chernobyl. And it was just an interesting premise, and a couple little things in that near the end. I think it was well done. I'm not, again, I don't know enough about that history to say, okay, I totally believe you, but I could see where you could draw the parallels of why that would have affected their choices. So it was a really good book. I also completed Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. I went and looked to see when I had read this before, because I have a clear memory of reading the beginning, and I had a library book copy at the time. And but it's not on any of my lists. I mean, I have it checked off on Goodreads, but it was when I did that whole, when you first join, where you just check off everything you've read and what you think it was at the time. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know when I read this. And now I'm not sure I finished it. So, again, Lolita is a very well-known book. I just don't think I don't know how many people actually read this all the time anymore. I know why it's a sensation. I listened to the audiobook of The Real Lolita by Sarah Weinman, which I would totally recommend. It really helped with my reading of this book. Things I caught from what she talked about in there about Nabokov and stuff. But overall, because I went into this, my little English major brain was kind of doing the whole, what is actually written here, and why would people call this like the greatest love story or the only convincing love story of our century? And I'm like, no. I mean, okay, it's beautifully written. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt of that, because this is a modern classic. I think it was published first in 1951 or 3, I can't remember. 55, sorry. A little higher than that. Sorry, so 1955. And I can see that you could fall for Herbert Herbert's for his vision of how things are. But again, unreliable narrator, you just need to know right away. He's telling the story his way, and how he wants to be perceived, and how he wants people to think of the reasons he did things, and how he wants other people to think Dolores is like. And again, knowing that going in the last time I read it, I think that's why I gave it a 3, but I still don't remember finishing it. Like, the ending was a surprise to me on how this went. I don't remember that at all. I remember about halfway through the first part 1. That part I completely remembered, and then, or not remembered, but I remembered a lot of it. Not everything, but I remembered kind of how that went. And then I remembered part of the second part, like the first part of that, and then I don't remember any of it. So I don't know if I DNF'd this and I just counted it as read. I don't usually do that, but I might have. I don't know. But anyway, I'm so glad I finished it all the way through. I now know the story a little better than I did. And I also saw how he did it. And again, it's one of the reasons why I don't like unreliable narrators, except this is one of the best ones I've read, where I could see where you are convinced by his point of view. If you don't keep stepping back and going, no, you're just a pervert. Anyway, but the point, or, pedophile. Anyway, but the point is that it's like, I can see that part of the unreliable narrator and how that works for this book, and also how you have to keep telling yourself to back off. So I still would give this a 3 if you want me to give a rating, maybe a 3.5, because the writing was really good. I just still did not enjoy a lot of it. There's still a lot of parts where I'm like, why are we talking about this? Why is this in here? And it could just be that by that point I was just tired of the unreliable narrator. And but I'm not sure. I just think there are some really boring parts in here as well. And as I said, so there's a lot of effective stuff and a lot not. But I'm really glad I actually read this all the way through now, and I have it, but I've done it now. And I could see out my goodness that I could write a paper on this right now, clearly. Anyway, so I still would say it's a book that people should read, especially if they do like the unreliable narrator. This was like the best one. I hate books that usually are unreliable narrators. My most hated is The Good Soldier by Ford Maddox Ford. I still have nightmares about that book because I hated it so much because of that. I can't tell you what the book is about anymore because I threw it away. But literally, I couldn't sell it because it was a college copy. It had marks all in it and nobody wanted it, so I threw it. Anyway, so those are the books that I finished. I do want to talk about my one DNF, which is Selene Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. I did not want to DNF this. And maybe I'm not fully DNF'd yet, except I have this relief that I'm not reading it anymore. And I think that kind of tells you something. So again, this is the third book I've DNF'd this week, or this month. And I was really upset about this one because I was all excited to continue with this series. I didn't buy any of the other books. Luckily, I only had this one on my shelf. I wanted to try it first. But this was one of those books where I wanted to love it, but I just wasn't. And the more I read it, the more bored I got because I'm like, why are we hanging out doing this? Or why are you making that decision? And then I start questioning his reasons for doing it. And then, of course, it comes in the middle. There's one of the episodes he gets kind of blackmailed into do something. And I don't know. It was just, it just got one point after another. And I didn't want to read it anymore. And, you know, it's just not for me. And I feel really bad. I think a lot of people will love this because it's got that quest aspect. It's the Tower of Babel. Like if it was still being built, like kind of in a more, I don't know, more medieval time, and people go to visit it and it's just not what people think, and they have different levels and ringdoms, and it just sounds fascinating, except I was so bored that I didn't want to pick this up several days. So I think it's kind of sad, but I also go, I just have too many books on my shelf, and if this series is not for me, I'm not going to continue reading it. So that's kind of sad. So still planning to do a video on DNFing because of my bad month. But it'll probably be next week sometime. So anyway, I'm right now in the middle of Into the Drowning Deep by Mara Grant. I am really enjoying this. This is again about a boat going out to the Mariana Trench looking for mermaids and what they find. I really am enjoying this. I dove right into it when I started it, and then it's just gotten better and better. I'm at 292, so I have about 200 pages left, and I'm hoping to get as much of this done today as I can. I'm really invested in the characters and in the storyline. I would definitely put it on the verge between urban fantasy and horror because it has the mermaids things. Anyway. But I really am enjoying this, and I'm glad I've picked it up. And again, it was on my TBR. So anyway, and then I am listening in my car to Becoming by Michelle Obama. This is my library copy that has to go back in 2 days, but I'm tracking it right now where I'm at. So I'm not very far. Actually, I haven't tracked from what this morning I just read. I'm probably about 70 pages in. So I'm only like 2.5 discs into the audiobook is like 16 discs. I think it's like 19 hours. I don't know. I'll be listening to it for probably the whole 3 weeks I have it from the library. But I am really enjoying this. Again, it is written beautifully, and her descriptions of things are just fantastic. So if you have not picked this up, I would totally recommend it. I'm just now getting to college, so it's still pretty early in this book. I'm really looking forward to the rest of it, and I'm enjoying. Again, I love listening to her talk, so it's pretty cool. So so those are the books I'm actively reading and listening to. The other 2 books that I think I'm going to probably pick up, if not today, because I am doing the 24 and 48. You've probably seen the videos on it. And so if I get tired or need a break from Into the Drowning Deep, or if I decide, or if I finish it, I want to pick up these books next. So the next fiction book I want to pick up is The Wreath, which is the first book in the Kristen Lavransdatter series, trilogy by Sigrid Undset. This is translated from the Norwegian by Tina Nunne. Nanali. Anyway, so I only read like 12 pages this week at one point when I was right before I DNF'd Selena Sens. So I was going to switch to this, but then I decided to pick up Into the Drowning Deep, which I'm glad I did because, again, it's fantastic. But I still want to get, by the end of the month, I want to finish this for Britta's Nobel Women project that she has going on. I haven't been able to participate yet, but I did get this book in December, so I wanted to at least read the first book, The Wreath. And as I said, it's like 300 pages, just under 300 pages in here, so I mean, I might get it done by the end of the month, but it's going to be a close call. But I still would like to read that next, even though that book is honking huge. And then I kind of want to start this because, and it's kind of helping listening to Michelle Obama's memoir, is to read The Art of Memoir by Mary Karr. So I did start, I read the preface, which I don't get to count pages on because they're little Roman numerals. Anyway, so I haven't actually started the main part of this, but I would like to pick this up here and there. I might do where I read a chapter a night or something. I kind of want to read this. Again, I'm not looking into actually writing a memoir, but I don't find memoirs my favorite books of nonfiction. And I kind of want to see if I'm just, I want to know more about them. And again, I'm loving Becoming, but a lot of the memoirs I like are more job focused. And again, hers is going to be probably a big part of the politics side, which I'm not huge into politics either, but I still want to know more about memoirs. So that's why I want to pick up that book. And again, it's on my TBR too. I'd like to pick that up. So those are the books that I read, I DNF'd, and that I'm in the middle of, and what I think I'm going to read in the coming week. As I said, I'm going to be really busy at work. I don't know how much reading I'm going to get done this week, so that's why I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes that means that I come home and I just don't do anything. And sometimes it means I come home and I need to read to kind of de-stress. So we'll see how it goes. The next couple weeks are going to be kind of interesting. If I could just make it through the winter. Anyway, so what are you guys reading? Are you guys read any really good books recently? And are you guys having the DNF problems I'm having? Why I keep picking up books that I highly anticipate, and I just don't like them. That's really sad. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.